So how's it feel to be the only Nerd Soup member with that on? Fuck. Can't even do a cold open, right?
You're a weird guy.
What do you mean?
This is the cold open. Because you had a little comment there, and I was like, oh, that'd be a great discussion. We can get into a topic about spoilers and putting spoilers in the title, what constitutes a spoiler, but you just wouldn't say it. You wouldn't repeat it.
Well, I wanted to bring up
You mumbled
that...
to yourself, oh, I don't like the cold opening. And then you just said, how does it feel to be the only Nerd Soup member? What, are you retiring?
No, I kind of came out wrong. Because you used to be the only one with a dog, and now Teddy kind of took the spotlight with a new dog. And you know, when a new dog comes in, everyone forgets about the old one.
You know what? That is true.
Yeah.
I was actually, that happened to me when I got Pepper, a friend of mine, a week later, gets a dog. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess it's about your dog now.
Yeah.
With Teddy, at least he waited a couple of months. And the thing is, me and Pepper helped Elena, Teddy's fiance, convince Elena to get a dog. I think so.
She didn't want one?
No, yeah, she didn't want one. Ted had to push her for it. But
Well,
now she seems like she loves the dog. You know, once you get the dog, you love it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, I already take care of Teddy. Now I have to take care of a dog.
And she already has a dog named Teddy on top of it.
Yeah.
She's got 2 dogs named Teddy.
Wow.
That's crazy. Ted's battling for the hierarchy here now.
Oh,
Just got bumped down on the totem pole.
I could see like little things like she feeds the dog before Teddy. It's like,
Why are you looking at him like that?
Wait, where's my dinner?
Well, because he's blonde.
Live from Long Island, New York, it's time for the Nerd Soup Podcast. Starring Anthony J.Q. Nash,
I don't know what's going on.
Teddy,
I just called Chief, and this is it.
Lorenzo Stu Warren,
I did sleep on this movie, literally, and
Marissa,
Go Spider-Man.
Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey,
Wish my dreams came true.
and your host, Bo Oliver Blue.
She had the cake, too. I was like, what? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Soup Podcast. I am Bo Oliver, currently the only Nerd Soup member, just here by myself. Oh, no. Aaron's still here. Thought he retired. He didn't. And we are here to talk about the world of movies, TV. We actually got a lot of news here.
By the way, when I retire, I'm going full Jeter, taking a nice little tour, retirement tour, collecting gifts from other podcasts. It's going to be a whole thing.
You're going to do the 3-year retirement? The Jay Leto, Mike Francesa? What is with New Yorkers? They love bathing in it, and then they love coming back. It's ridiculous. But we actually, we got some new images for Dune. That's exciting. We have a new schedule for the Marvels in my mouth. The MCU release dates. And we also have news about Sam Raimi coming back. The Return of the King. That was my favorite meme from yesterday, when he actually confirmed it.
Yeah.
And they put the title card, The Return of the King.
It's a
That's
little
really cool.
generous.
Hey, man, he changed
I know.
the game with Spider-Man 3.
I know.
The first 2, but the third one.
Oh, now you're flipping where I flipped. Okay.
That the little flip crisscross. I just want to say I've been watching Barry. The funniest line I think I've ever heard in a TV series. A cop is trying to get somebody to turn on somebody, and the guy tells the cop, the informant, "Give him 5 minutes. I'll have him shitting in my hand." And the cop's like, what? What does that even mean? But, that's what I've been doing in quarantine. But, send us your questions at nerdsoup4u@gmail.com. Nerdsoup on Twitter, NerdSoupMonkey, Anthony J.Q. Nash on Twitter, Teddy Nerdsoup. Not sure why I said Nash first. And you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, all the podcast places.
Just forgot Marissa, huh?
Well, Marissa, she had a good tweet over the weekend.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse tweet.
Jealous? So that's why you left her out now, getting too much attention, taking it all away from you.
Well, I did retweet her.
Okay.
On my own. It was my decision. I didn't get forced like when you and Teddy hit me up.
I never hit you up. Teddy's the only
you
one.
You guys beg for retweets. Ted does.
That's a lie, yeah. Don't lump me in with
He had a good tweet the other day, too.
See, we're all capable of greatness every once in a while.
Let's go to these Dune images. Dune 2020. The internet's excited about this, huh?
I remember when the cast started unraveling and we got little...
They were being born and hatched by Denis Villeneuve.
When the news started slowly coming out about the cast, everyone was getting so hyped. And I was like, all right, film Twitter. It's okay to get hyped, but don't have a Blade Runner on our hands again where, even though it did make like $230 million, that's still not enough for a film like Blade Runner. And I need Dune to make at least $1 billion. I don't know if it's going to happen, but the way people are so hyped up about it, it seems like there is a fan base for this film.
I think with Dune, it's got the advantages of being a bit more well-known. Mm-hmm. It is the most best-selling science fiction novel of all time. It's got the star power as well, and it's got star power from all the different generations. We've got older actors. We've got Zendaya, or Zendaya, I'm not sure, whichever one they want to go with. Timothy Chalamet, the next Leonardo DiCaprio. Oscar Isaac, right there, might be the best actor of his generation. So you would think that it's going to make more money than a Blade Runner 2049. And of course it has to be good. I think Denis Villeneuve has built up so much goodwill amongst the fans that we just assume every movie he puts out is going to be a masterpiece, because that's kind of been the case.
Yeah, it really has been. And for me, it's good that it has the established fan base, but for me, who doesn't really know much about Dune, I'm still very excited just from the cast, Denis Villeneuve, and my outside knowledge of this world, this big sci-fi epic that we're going to get with Denis Villeneuve at the helm.
Yeah, and coming after Game of Thrones, people might be more accepting of fantasy stories, because it's got a lot of fantasy elements, and the different houses, the ensemble cast. That's what was really appealing about Game of Thrones, is that you can latch on to so many different storylines and characters. And with Dune, you have that, because they have to split the first book into 2 movies, which to me, I'm very happy about that, because there is so much story there. I hated that one comment by that first image. I guess we'll talk about some of the images of Chalamet on the beach, and someone was like, "Oh, I thought Dune maybe would have been fun."
I saw one.
People just like hating sometimes.
It's like, you guys aren't Denis Villeneuve fans, you're Roger Deakins fans.
Oh, that was yeah. What's the other movies he shot? Sicario.
Deakins?
Yeah, he shot Sicario, Blade
Runner,
Runner, and Prisoners.
Yeah. He still
So
has
stupid.
Incendies, Enemy. He didn't. Wait, did he shoot Arrival? No, right?
No, that was
Okay.
Bradford Young.
Okay.
But Roger Deakins also shot The Village. So
And what's that movie last year that came out that no one liked? About the
was it Goldfinch?
Goldfinch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so fucking ridiculous.
And that's not on Deakins. You could still shoot a bad movie.
No.
But
I think with Deakins is you can watch bad movies, and that's when it's like, no, you're just a fan of Deakins.
Yeah.
So I like The Village because, a lot of it is Deakins. But yeah, no, these images to me, I mean, I love the one of Oscar Isaac too, decked out in that armor.
Yeah, he looked that was a sick photo.
He looked like he just got out of a 6-year relationship with Disney. I'm just tired of this shit.
It's like when your friend posts like a photo of you and you're just looking fucking top of the line.
Yeah, it's
10
a great candid.
Yeah, it's like, good looks.
And Josh Brolin too was Gurney Halleck. And I guess we should mention the names. Oscar Isaac playing Duke Leto,
Yeah.
the father for Timothy Chalamet's character.
I don't really know the names, but the one that stuck out for me was Duncan, Idaho.
Duncan, Idaho.
That's a
Jason
sick
Momoa.
fucking name.
Yeah, and that's great casting because he's known as like a ladies' man. He's got that reputation.
Well, that's why you catch Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
You don't
And he's-
catch Jason Momoa and not be a ladies' man.
Yeah, he's a great swisman, so we know from Game
What-
of Thrones what he's capable of in
What is
an
it?
action scene.
Is it like futuristic, or is it what's the vibe here?
Well, a cool thing about the Dune universe is that they outlaw computers.
Okay.
So for 10,000 years, technology has evolved, has advanced, but you can't have certain technologies. So it really centers around the planet of Dune, which is, the real name is Arrakis, and it has this spice substance that can kind of give you foresight. You could see into the future, but it's also addictive and it can wear on your body. It really depends on your own makeup. So
So there's no guns?
it's futuristic. There's lasers.
Oh.
It's like laser beams. No, but there are weapons. There are swords and
I don't know, I like the laser beams.
yeah.
I'm back in on it now.
Like there are spaceships. They have the flappy wing spaceships.
Okay, gotcha.
They have the giant carriers. Yeah, so it's like futuristic, but it's not. It's kind of like Blade Runner
Okay,
in the sense that it's an analog future.
gotcha.
Rebecca Ferguson, somebody that really made a name for herself from those Mission Impossible movies. I'd love to see her in a movie like this, especially if it does well. And she's one of my favorite characters from the books, a very important character.
Well, yeah, the whole cast in general, it's probably one of the deepest casts we've ever seen, at least that I can remember. And just in terms of established people and with star power, and I can't wait to see what Villeneuve does with just this cast and worlds together, because we know he could do really anything. We've seen sci-fi and other thriller type films that he's directed and written. So if you can combine that element into this sci-fi epic, I mean, what else could you ask for?
Yeah, and I also like the shot of the entire house altogether. Stephen McKinley Henderson, the actor from Devs, he is playing a character who serves as a mentor to Timothy Chalamet's character. Just terrific casting. Didn't even know he was in it. Kind of surprised me when I saw him standing there in the background. Somebody quote tweeted and was like, "Is this a Ladybird reunion inside of Dune?" Because he's, I think, the principal, right? No,
The priest.
Yes, yeah, the priest. Yeah, so no, the cast on paper, it's like they're holding back too, because no Stellan Skarsgård, no Dave Bautista, And also the actor that always appears in that creepy guy from Prisoners.
Who?
And he's also in Blade Runner. He gets punched in the throat. You're bad at this. Can you watch more movies? You don't know the third creepy guy
I don't remember.
in Prisoners?
The guy credited as creepy guy number 3 in the villain.
He's good friends with James Gunn in real life.
If I saw him, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to know him by name. You don't even know him by name. You call him creepy guy.
I think that might be his name.
Well,
we all need a stage name.
you think this movie has a chance of getting pushed back at all?
December
2020?
No, I don't think so. I think by December, and I guess I don't know if this is optimistic, but I think
Could be.
Yeah.
I was seeing some things that theaters might be able to do, like where you get your assigned seat, but you can't get some of these seats so they can strategically space them or something like that. I don't know what will work or how that's gonna. I don't think anyone really knows, but
Yeah, I think the movie everyone's keeping their eye on now is Tenet.
Mm-hmm.
If Tenet doesn't budge, the closer we get to it, then it's like, okay, maybe these movies are going to start coming out on schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tenet's going to be the big domino. If Tenet goes down, then I become way more pessimistic about Dune being released in December. But you would have to think a movie like Dune, it's less disappointing because it does feel so far away anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
That if we were talking about these Dune images, we'd be like, oh, I can't wait till December. Just the other day, I was talking about how November feels around the corner. I don't know. All my perception of time is completely fucked now. You know?
I had no idea.
From the day to day and also in the distant future, I have no idea.
I look at my phone to see what day it is at least 3 times a day. I'm like, wait, today's Tuesday, right?
Yeah. I've been messing up on that too. But we also have some MCU news. We have Sam Raimi confirming that he is coming back for Doctor Strange 2. Coming back to the Marvel world, not the MCU. He's never directed an MCU movie, but this is not a surprise because we talked about it months ago, but it's cool that it's actually confirmed.
Yeah, and we alluded to before just how instrumental he was in kind of ushering this era of superhero films, being in the mainstream and doing well. And even with some of the Batman movies, those Spider-Man and the Dark Knight trilogy combined kind of ushered in this new era. And to see him do something like Doctor Strange, which we know is going to be a little more horror-based, and Sam Raimi obviously has a background in horror, it seems like a perfect fit.
Yeah, and like I said when we talked about this months ago, I'm really interested to see if Feige lets him go full Sam Raimi on this, full Evil Dead.
Do we know the background of why Scott Derrickson?
That's the thing. No, it's all speculation, but
Yeah.
my theory was...
Well, every time this happens, the theory is they didn't let him have creative control,
Right,
or
and
do what he wanted to do.
My personal theory is not that. I think this is also me being very optimistic, that Feige wanted to give him creative control, but he thought he couldn't handle it. And you got all defensive over Scott Derrickson. I know he's a close personal friend of yours. I don't know why you don't work with him.
Well, me and Scotty talked recently about this whole scenario. And
that's why you're retiring.
Well, I feel like every director wants to have some sense of control over what they're making.
Right, but I would look at his Rotten Tomato scores before Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange is a fine movie, but he's never blown people away with what he's done. And he seems like a really cool guy on Twitter. He does. And he seems like he's a fan of the right movies, but it doesn't seem like he's good at making movies like that.
Well, could it be that maybe that's...
I'm sorry, Scott. I know he's listening.
It's as simple as that. It's just...
No, I think Feige wants to go full horror and said, why would I do with Scott when I can get Sam Raimi?
Or it could just be that Feige saw it as just his vision for this film is to be something grand, and what Derrickson was presenting was kind of
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I don't like to speculate on that because he could have had a great movie and they just couldn't have seen eye to eye, but regardless.
We have to.
Yeah.
Until they start being honest, then we're just going to make shit up.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. Where's my transparency? For not giving us the very sensitive and private details of your business transactions.
Yes.
We're going to speculate wildly. So
that's going to force your hand here. I have a wild imagination.
And stop copywriting our shit. Sam Raimi, I don't know. It's when you think about the movies that he's done since Spider-Man, the one that he did Oz, right? He did the James Franco Oz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's him. And he's done a couple of others, more producer credits to his name.
Yeah, he recently produced The Grudge. Not great, but it all depends. I mean, if a lot of people are saying on Twitter, please give him full control. And I think as fans of the MCU, I think a lot of people have this view that it's kind of cookie cutter and they want to stick to a certain template. I think recently we've seen that that's not always the case. Guardians of the Galaxy was very much James Gunn. Thor Ragnarok, very much Taika Waititi, and it seems like when he did that little Q&A on whatever platform, that Love and Thunder is going to be the same. I do think they give more control than people see.
Yeah, and they hire directors that fit the style as well. And I've always pushed back on that complaint. I mean, it's television at this point. They come out with 2 movies a year. Don't watch them. It's like watching 2 episodes of West Wing and complaining that they're walking and talking all the time, you know? It's like the show's not going to change from episode to episode. The MCU ain't changing.
Well, you need
They're going to bring in talent. Yeah, you want to obviously reinvent it, but you don't want to change the wheel too much. Like, I hate when every year Apple changed the headphone jack. The Onion had an article. Tim Cook laughs maniacally as he says the iPhone no longer compatible with AirPods. That's what they do. It's like, no, the MCU had the same model.
Not fucking surprise me though. If the AirPods, like, oh yeah, the new iPhone only AirPod Pro Max 2 works with them. It's like, why? Just Bluetooth.
I know, right? They've just invented their own Bluetooth.
Well, now these ones have wires.
Right. It's like, what? A wired connection? I want to rant about Bluetooth. Whenever a song is supposed to have a perfect transition, Bluetooth always fucks it up. Have you noticed that?
No.
Like Polythene Pam to She Came In Through the Bathroom Window is supposed to just blend together, and it never does. There's always a skip. It's like a pause between. It just pisses me off. Sam Raimi, though. What the fuck is he going to do with this movie? That's the thing. It's going to involve Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
And it's going to attach to the show. That's how much control can you give these people now when everything is being mixed together?
Well, there has to be a certain continuity within story and drop my phone. Don't worry about
Keep
it later.
going, yeah. No, you've been here before.
Because, like you said, it's the MCU. It's not going from movie to movie. There still has to be a connection here. It's one grand, I guess, overall entity that these films fall under. But you still have to leave room to separate yourself in some ways. And I think they've done that with Guardians and Thor, and potentially with this film, going more horror into the genre.
Yeah, I think what they should do is they should definitely make their movies bigger and longer moving forward. I mean, people have said they should scale back, and it looks like that's what they're going to do with Black Widow. And I guess we should move on here to the schedule shakeup, Black Widow being pushed to November 6, 2020. So the fact that they moved that movie there makes me feel a bit more optimistic about Dune. I guess that's the word of the day, optimistic, pessimistic, because they chose November, but that can also just be moved in a tweet.
Yeah, well, it's interesting with, like we said, the MCU, everything's connected, so you kind of have to strategically place those films in order to make sense because, I don't know, the Eternals might have an Easter egg or allude to something that's going to happen in Doctor Strange or whatever.
The Eternals coming out February 21st, 2021 now.
Yeah, so you kind of have to push everything back and keep it within the same trajectory and placement. Same, too, with the Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, Shang-Chi is being moved to May, Doctor Strange 2 is being moved to November, and Thor, Love and Thunder is being moved to February 2022. That's an interesting release date, February. They're going to get to about 3 or 4 movies a year, and a year now. Mm-hmm. Maybe this has kind of put a dent in that, but they can start exploiting all of these months. I think Star Wars kind of broke that right open, where it was like, hey, December used to be a graveyard, not anymore. Highest grossing movie ever at that point. Still think it's the highest grossing domestically. So, I mean, Deadpool in February, Black Panther in February. It's all year is summer blockbuster season now.
Yeah, you can make money in February. We've seen that in the past. And I always love that when we get a nice little, like a great blockbuster type film in February or March, because January is usually just a dead zone. We had Annihilation a couple of years back, but that rarely happens. So it's always good to start the kind of getting back into the movie year early.
Yeah.
And I think a nice movie, fun movie, or big blockbuster movie that early is something that I'm always down for.
Yeah, I think these studios should be a bit more strategic. I mean, it also depends. A lot of studios are dumping movies in January because they think they suck, you know? But if you got a good movie, and you know it's a good movie, move that bitch to January. Take over the month. People will go. If you build it, they will come, man.
Well, this January, before everything happened, there's nothing to see.
Yeah, there was nothing
Gentlemen,
to see.
that was good. Other than that, there was nothing I was really dying to go see.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder how how everything's going to shake up, where we have this dead period now and films are obviously getting pushed back. I wonder how that works too with productions of films and television shows, where things that were slated to come out maybe next year or the year after are getting pushed back because they can't actually make the content. So I guess it's just the films getting pushed back now are going to take those spots, and then it's kind of just going to keep cycling until everything kind of fixes itself.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be just, you're thinking like a permanent dead period just for the rest of time. Yeah. No, everything just gets... No, it's going to be interesting to see if everything kind of gets back on track, but everything that was in production, like the Uncharted movies, I think they finally started production.
Mm-hmm.
The coronavirus was declared a pandemic and everything was shut down. So it will be... It's a wait and see. It's not only for what we talk about, but it's for everything, dude. It's for people's jobs. It's for schools. It's for businesses. It's just wait and see.
Yeah, obviously there are other things to be worried about than when the next Marvel
Okay,
movie
but you didn't have to throw that in.
out. I
was just making the point about wait and see. Then you have to go and be the... Well, there's...
Well, I'm just saying we're not oblivious.
There's nothing more important than Dune coming out in 2020 going on right now.
I agree with that.
Okay.
That's facts.
That's number one.
But, I mean, we're not oblivious to that, but, we talk about...
I mean, we're not dumb.
We're not a world channel. I don't know.
We're not a world
movie
channel. No. We should Nerd Soup News with Teddy.
That's actually hilarious.
Yeah, to some people. Let's move on to fan questions.
No one should take it seriously, but...
Actually, you want to bring back what's trending? I think we could do it. A lot of funny things have been trending during quarantine.
That is true.
Let's do Let's Trending.
The first few weeks have been just all...
Oh no, a voice actor died.
Tickle Me Elmo is the hardest thing this Christmas.
Former Beatle John Lennon, who was 40, was shot and killed last week.
And this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
When was the last time you saw a Chevrolet in Tokyo?
Keiji Fujiwara, who was a voice actor in Final Fantasy, Full Metal Alchemist. Oh, what's his character in Full Metal Alchemist, dude? Hughes. Yeah,
Hughes. Yeah. No, I knew that.
Oh, that's sad. Well, I guess what's trending was sort of... Well, Yeezy slides are trending.
Well, let me see these.
I gotta say, I think Kanye's got something with his fashion. I don't particularly dress well myself, but I feel like I have an eye for other people's fashion. Like, I know who's a good dresser and who's not, you know?
Well, you think those slides look good?
Anything can look good on the right person.
That's true.
I'm so done with what's trending, just going through all the stupid things that are trending. Let's just go to fan questions.
I mean, it was fun for like the first couple weeks. What am I going to say? This new Playboy Cardi. I don't know what that is. Dropped a new song.
That's for the fan to decide.
Yay! People, you call up to the show, you better be ready. That's what you're supposed to do. Sitting there arguing and you're trying to spell your name and all of this other stuff. It's not your show, it's my show. I'm giving you the opportunity to speak your mind. Don't call up here unless you got something to say.
Oh, it's National Horny Day. You just get by that one.
It's a National
Horny Day.
Dead center of the pandemic.
I mean, every day can be horny day if you have the right mentality. Don't forget that.
This question here from Pat Phillips at Pat_Phillips 93. I'm interested in your answer here, Aaron, actually. I'm usually not, because I don't care what you think, but for here I am. What movie do you wish you could watch again for the first time?
I feel like we've gotten this already. Oh, yeah, because we just...
Well, let's see if you remember your answer. Let's see if there's some consistency here.
Well, the one that comes to mind right away, and last week we really saw it with all the theater reactions to Endgame.
Yeah.
It's if I can have, not just the movie itself, it's more of the theater experience. Because we're talking movies in general. I think Infinity War was the better movie out of those two, but the Endgame theater experience was fucking ridiculous. It was a sporting event. It was something I don't think I'll ever have happen again, unless this Dune thing really kicks off and the second movie. We'll see.
My favorite scene ever is Captain America picking up that hammer. That is my favorite movie scene out of any movie ever.
I was going crazy. The whole theater was going crazy.
And it's just so well earned, you know? That's what's great about the MCU, is that they make you wait for these moments, and I love it. But my movie would be The Departed, because there are so many surprises in that movie that I'll never forget just the shock of when he gets popped in that elevator, man.
Yeah.
I was 12 years old when I saw it. My sister took me to see it. Shout out to her. Midnight showing. Oh, and it's one of my 10 favorite movies of all time.
Well, it's one of those things where you can weigh just overall excitement and theater experience, or just sitting in a theater by like losing everything around you and getting sucked into a movie for the first time. I don't know. Depends what you're kind of looking for out of that experience. The Departed is a great pick. I'm trying to think. The Departed kind of got ruined for me. I still love the movie, but the initial surprise, because the way I viewed it was on AMC, when it was on AMC every night. So I would like turn it on and watch from the middle on, where I would watch it.
Wow.
What?
That's terrible.
I know it's a terrible. But
it's one of the great ills of cable.
I've watched the movies. Like,
you remember when Bits and
then.
Pieces was a thing?
What do you mean?
When your parents would say, "Oh, have you seen that movie?" "Oh, I've only seen bits and pieces." Bits and pieces was a big thing to say. Now with streaming, that doesn't pass.
I miss the bits and pieces, though.
Yeah, no. Well, you still live in the bits and pieces world.
Well, you just turn it on. It's Forrest Gump,
the
and they're
picture.
at the like. He just meets Bubba. It's like,
that's great for me.
This is a great time to sit back and watch the rest of the movie.
Yeah, for Forrest Gump. If it's closer to the end, that's better. Definitely.
Yeah. Well.
See how I did that? This question here from Josh Clark at JAClark21. Favorite guilty pleasure movies?
Guilty pleasure movies.
I think Avatar, even though a lot of people do like it, it would be my guilty pleasure because of the stories of my obsession with that movie. That if people knew how obsessed I was with 2009 Avatar, they would say, "Wow, you are a fucking nerd."
I don't know.
Did I order 12 apple pies from McDonald's and watch it 2 times in a row? I don't know. But Mean Girls, people seem to love Mean Girls. That was like my guilty pleasure in high school.
I think you kind of just skipped over the apple pies.
What?
You just got like nothing else? No fries, nuggets, just 12 apple pies.
What else do you need if you got 12 fucking apple pies? There's no room for anything else.
I don't know, maybe get like
them.
6
It was 6 and 6.
Maybe get like 6 apple pies and throw in like a McDouble or something. A snack wrap.
When you're high, the apple pies just hit different.
Not 12.
I said I split them with a friend.
Oh, you didn't. You just brought in the friend now.
6 and 6.
Yeah, no, I thought you meant 6 for the first viewing, 6 for the second.
No.
Still. Fucking,
what's your goddamn guilty pleasure movie? Goodfellas?
No. I don't know. I like a lot of stupid comedies. Adam Sandler is probably, but even the old ones, I don't think aren't guilty pleasures. People fucking love those movies.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a movie that I know. Maybe Coach Carter for me. Love it. It's not great. Like Mike. A lot of movies from my childhood, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
That kind of stick with me that looking back aren't great, even for kids' movies.
But that's different. Like Space Jam, I mean, I think that gets viewed in a better light than the movie actually is, because a lot of people grew up on that movie. So you can't convince some people that it's bad.
No, your guilty pleasure would be Wolverine Origins. I think that's the perfect type of answer.
Well, yeah, I guess Batman vs. Superman.
Oh, for me, Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because I really enjoyed Venom.
Mm-hmm.
Did I give it a 7?
I don't know what you gave it.
I think it was in the 6.
You gave it higher than it deserves, that's for sure.
This question here from Delia, is there a moment in your life you wish you could redo? Also, will we ever get to watch Monopoly Wars? No, I think we haven't played in a while now.
No, yeah.
I think we're burnt out.
A week and a half. We'll get it going eventually again. The thing with the Monopoly games is, I don't know. It's a weird. Rarely is it about Monopoly, what we argue about. It evolves into just something unexplainable, like me calling you to Lee Sizemore of Monopoly and you having a complete meltdown.
Yes, yeah, no, it's not about Monopoly. I always say this, when we play games as friends online, as a crew, against other people, we're not playing the other opponents. We're playing each other. It's who can brag the most, who can have the most points. It's ridiculous. I can't stand it. We have Nash who, I don't care about my stats. Every time he has a bad game, I played terrible. My stats were terrible. We're all so selfish. You, always calling people out.
I'm not. I only call people out when they call me out.
You called Nash inefficient in 2K. He went 10 for 10. You literally make up shit to call people out because you're a poker.
No, it was in that game he was inefficient.
People.
I wasn't talking about his overall game. And that wasn't a 10 for 10 game. I was making fun. I pointed out his turnovers, which were costing us dearly. 6 turnovers from the center position. You can't win like that.
If I could redo one moment, it would be getting you guys to buy PS4s. To answer the question.
Joining this channel.
This question here from Crunkledor at Crunkledor. Do you guys have your own personal fan favorite character in movie, TV, games that you feel deserves more love?
Fan favorite character.
My favorite Harry Potter character is Luna Lovegood. I feel like she deserves more love. I don't see like Luna Lovegood stan accounts.
You don't think people love
Twitter.
her good enough? I'm fucking back, baby. Let's go.
Neville did.
True. I feel like people hate on Captain Falcon. More people should main him because he is the best character in Super Smash. That's a fact. I think for you, you don't love Frodo. Like, you don't give him the respect he deserves. I know there are some rational people out there that do, but it's kind of crazy at this point that you still hold on to that belief, even after watching the movies again.
It literally admitted on the review. This is literally what I just said. You make shit up to poke people. I admitted that I was wrong. Even when...
but you said after Two Towers that you kind of were swaying back and forth.
No, I didn't. I didn't say that. What are you talking about? The only thing I've said about Two Towers is I don't know enough about the movies to review them, and I want to know more. Possibly read the books.
We'll start with Frodo.
He's got a book? This question here from Moonchild at Abigail. Good question here. Worst movie by your favorite director? Well, my favorite director used to be Stanley Kubrick, but now I'm kind of leaning more towards Miyazaki. Those are my top two, so I'll give you the worst by both of them. Kubrick, worst movie, Spartacus, without a doubt. And Miyazaki, Ponyo. Great animation, story kind of lacking. Not as unique as his other films, but two very good movies, I think. The worst by the best.
Yeah, that's hard. I think with someone like Scorsese, can you really pick a bad movie? I guess it comes down to preference at that point. I think, like Villeneuve, how we were talking about before, what's his worst movie? I obviously haven't seen many of his from his early days, most of them in, French, right? Quebec Film Festival releases.
Polytechnique.
Incendies, I've seen. I really enjoy it. I think it might be better than a movie like Enemy, but I still love Enemy. And it's at that point, it's hard to dissect. Some of them you can. Spielberg, obviously, has made some stinkers. James Cameron made some movies that I didn't particularly like, but I don't know. I guess I'll go with Scorsese and The Last Temptation of Christ, which is a really good movie. But I just like Raging Bull, Goodfellas, Casino, maybe Silence. I like Silence more. I don't know.
Well, we actually have another good director question here from Homero at Homero_. Why is Ridley Scott underrated? And I would agree with that. I think he is underrated when you look at international filmmakers, when you include the entire world. You kind of never see him on that top 15, top 20, top 10 lists. For American directors, you do. And I think the problem with Ridley Scott is that when he's bad, he's awful. And he has made classic movies, obviously Alien, Blade Runner, recently The Martian, American Gangster I love as well. But like I said, he's so old school. When they talk about directors today, it feels like everyone's writer, director. Mm-hmm. And that's not Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott gets a call from the studio, we've got a script, we've got this script, which one do you want to do? Get you in under budget. And sometimes they're great, man. I love The Martian. I love Prometheus.
Well, yeah, he's, like I said before, with people like Scorsese, he's definitely, not Scorsese, Spielberg. He has the ability to make very good movies and movies that are underwhelming. I guess that's kind of what separates him from a Scorsese or a Tarantino, where most people would think, or critically and fan response, is that he hasn't really made a truly awful movie. And even with Prometheus, I like Prometheus. People fucking hate that film.
Yeah,
I don't like Alien Covenant at all.
Right, yeah. Exodus of Kings, whatever that movie is.
Yeah.
It's a million years.
And he's also a prolific producer too.
Yeah. So
it's just that weird dynamic of creating classics like Blade Runner, like Alien. You would think if anyone had, really looking at it, Gladiator, Blade Runner, Alien, 3 classics, and you would think if anyone had that resume that they would be put in that upper echelon.
Yeah, like I said, he is underrated because I think as an American director, he should definitely be in the conversation for top 10 easily. And film wouldn't be the same without him.
Yeah, it's also like, what if I told you that the same person that directed Thelma and Louise directed Robin Hood?
Yeah, right. Thelma and Louise, too. I love that movie. Very early, very young Brad Pitt, one of his first roles. This question here from Trez MD at MattBridge2. Rank the Beatles in order of greatness. Jimmy Page,
George
Mick
Harrison,
Jagger, Jim
1,
Morrison,
original Paul
Yoko
McCartney,
Ono.
number 2, the one that replaced the dead Paul McCartney, number 3.
Okay. So Aunt Viv for the first 2 seasons. That's
John Lennon, Ringo.
No, seriously, I would say it's tough. Sorry, Ringo, you're at the bottom. It's tough between the big three, though.
But who's laughing, you know? He's still cooking.
I think musically, John Lennon really influenced the artistic direction of the Beatles, and Paul was very important musically, and George had the best solo career and really started writing and coming into his own towards the end. So I would say for the Beatles, for the success of the Beatles, just during that run, it's John, Paul, George, Ringo. That's just what it is.
And John also posthumously cured Corona with Imagine. So
Posthumously?
I said that wrong, right? I realized that halfway through.
I like that better.
Yeah.
He posthumously. Just stick by it. You know?
Yeah. No, that's what I did.
You know the other one.
No, I know what I was trying to say, but it didn't come out right. But I just stuck to my guns. Let's see.
I have to. It's a fucked up joke, but when that whole thing happened, when all the celebrities sang Imagine.
The best Family Guy joke that's funny, it's when it's like a group of teenage girls in their room talking about, it's like, oh, I think Paul's the hottest. One's like, oh, I think Ringo's the hottest.
And he just pops in the window.
It's like,
hey, it's Ringo.
It's like, no thanks.
They have so many great Beatles jokes, but my favorite is always when Peter is the security guard at George Harrison's house, and the guys break in, and they start vandalizing, and you can hear people screaming. And Peter's just like, hey, keep it down in there, you wacky Beatle. This question here from Jamie Reese at Jamie Stanworth. Game of Thrones characters that would be great at Monopoly. Tywin. Tywin would be the master. Because what I've realized about Monopoly, it's truly about your competition. Not necessarily are they as skilled, but can you pressure them into deals? Because I feel like the reason why I win consistently with you guys is because you're all afraid to trade with me. Like, to really trade.
Okay.
I'm serious. I'm Teddy. I sucker Teddy into every deal.
Yeah.
You too.
I make good deals.
No, you
I don't.
don't.
Like I always say, if we power ranked our performances, I would be just at the top. Second place finishes, third place finishes.
You wouldn't be just at the top. You've never won.
I've won twice in this whole
2 years. You've won twice.
Let's not get into,
like Nash talks a big game, but once again, now he's got this whole strategy of I don't trade with anyone. It's ridiculous. You guys are all losing your marbles because of me.
I play the game very straightforward. Most of you guys, it's what you guys do that makes it difficult for me, because you guys try to think outsmart, and while you guys are trying to outsmart each other, you kind of just make a game of chaos in which I'm just trying to go along, collect my properties, and just have fun. Just have a good time.
It sounds like you tried to climb the ladder and failed.
I don't. I'm not trying to climb any ladders.
Littlefinger would be exactly. No, yeah, you don't even try and climb the ladder.
Because it's a game of luck. You guys try to construe this idea that it's some game where it requires master skill. At the end of the day, if you land on the right properties, you're going to win.
Of course, trades involve
skill.
Yeah,
and you win because you trade with Teddy and absolutely dismantle him. Why don't you? Because Teddy always thinks I'm trying to get one up on him.
So I'm Littlefinger with Anne Liza, basically.
For some reason, he trusts you.
Who does Littlefinger manipulate in Game of Thrones? He doesn't manipulate Tywin. Yeah. He doesn't manipulate Olenna. You got to manipulate the Moon Boys of the world. For
some reason, he trusts you. He's like, all right, well, if he's giving this deal, it has to be a good deal. I make a deal.
Who would be a goddamn good Monopoly player in Game of Thrones? Can you answer the question? Book Jon Snow would be terrific. Show Jon Snow would be awful.
Who's been insanely lucky?
Show Jon Snow would buy all the railroads. Who's been insanely lucky? Aemon?
Yeah, I guess he kind of made it to the end. Well, he did end up at the wall. It's kind of, well, he chose to. That's a him problem.
This question here from Adam at Sir Sexy Rexy. The hat names always get me. It's like Ron Burgundy reading the teleprompter. just rolls off the tongue. Biggest wasted potential character in film. And Big Sexy Rexy. No, sorry, I just added the big. It was Sir Sexy Rexy. For me, it's Finn. Force Awakens Finn could have been the best character in Star Wars. Good answer. Yeah, definitely wasted potential there. I think a lot of the big three was kind of wasted. I think Neo is a character that comes to mind because the first movie was so interesting. Kind of all the potential of the whole world was wasted, so that includes Neo. But he's still such an iconic character. People still, they meme him all the time, and the look, the world. I'm trying to think of other characters in series. Oh, I've got an MCU one, Ultron. I think Ultron is so frustrating because there are moments where it's like, this is what the character should have been throughout the whole movie. Because that voice, I say it all the time, it's my favorite voiceover performance maybe ever. James Spader as that robot is terrifying. And it's so poorly written. That's why the performance is so great.
Well, it's hard to say like wasted within an original idea or film because there's no really preconceived notion of what this character is supposed to or on what they did in other iterations. So it's easy to point out, like, I guess things like comic book movies or movies based off of books to be like, oh, this character was so much better done in this this medium, so they kind of wasted what they could have done.
Well, I mean, Game of Thrones, boy.
Yeah, there's a long list, even in the earlier seasons.
Yeah, characters that they didn't even include. Mm-hmm. This question here from Suze at Susie1. Sex in the City, yay or nay?
The show or just banging in Times Square?
Sex and the City, yeah.
Two very different answers.
They have those stairs there now. Traffic closed off.
Don't think you can
bang on the stairs.
Still illegal.
I'm going to give the answer of, for me personally, nay, but I kind of respect what the show was and what it means to people, because my sister's a big fan of it. And one time I pressed her, I was like, how can you watch this? And she gave a very smart and nuanced answer, and I was kind of impressed by her answer. So I said, okay, you're allowed to like this now. You're allowed to be my sister.
Welcome to the family.
Come here. What do you think? What are the character names? Rachel, Jessica?
Well, that's my favorite. That's my favorite thing about Sex in the City. See, I like the idea of not knowing anything about it, but calling people like, "Oh, that's such Miranda."
Yeah, right. Like, come here, you little Miranda.
I don't know what that entails.
Is she Miranda?
But no.
Miranda's the oldest one, I think. She's the one who was just banging all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was the MILF of the gang.
Yeah. So I know Sarah Jessica Parker. That's so.
Kyle MacLachlan played one of the boyfriends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the brunette, I think.
Oh, Shirley.
We should know these actresses' names because they've been in other things.
Shirley City.
Kyle MacLachlan, his whole thing was that he could never get it up.
Kyle MacLachlan, he's in that new Al Capone movie, right?
I saw him in the trailer. That should have been one of our fucking topics.
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna like that movie. I don't like the trailer.
No, it looks
I could still like it. Trailers could be misleading sometimes, but just the vibe I got off was kind of like I don't want to say gaudy because that's just disrespectful, but
it reminded me of his other movie Legends.
Yeah.
When he played the two twins, the two London-based gangsters. In that gangster movies, they try to be so cool. They're just all trying to be Scarface.
Gatsby, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
The trailer gave me Gatsby vibes. And I don't think Gatsby's a bad movie by any means, but a Capone movie, I feel like just the name alone is like, oh, this movie's going to be good.
Right. Well, I'm watching the trailer and I'm like, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. Give me the real Al Capone. What?
You're a Capone aficionado?
No, but I just know. I've seen too many movies where I'm going to go on the Wikipedia and it's going to be like, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. Look, you have to, it's a movie, so you want to make it cinematic, but this just looked too over the top. And Tom Hardy, fantastic actor. Oh, Al Capone.
Hardy, he has sometimes I feel like he can try to overdo it a bit, which that's why I love him sometimes. But with Capone, I feel like it was a little, I don't know. Time will tell.
This question here from Alex P. F. E. Smith at Alex with an Alex. Favorite top?
Dune. Kyle MacLachlan, he was in Dune.
The original Paul Atreides.
David Lynch, Twin Peaks.
What are you just naming shit?
Yeah.
Alex wants to know who are your top 5 rappers, hip hop artists.
Oh, for me, it's always been, I think Kanye and Jay-Z have always been my favorites.
That's 2
at the top.
Not a bad 2.
No,
two.
They aren't. It's
Don't Let Me Get in My Zone.
They made an album together, which was really good. That's a lot with me. I feel like I always have like a definitive 1 or 2, and everything else is just so muddled and jumbled up where it really depends. I was really big into Kid Cudi, like his first couple albums. He actually just released a new song, but I don't know. What are yours? Go. You do your 5. Let me try to sort this out in my brain.
Well, I think there is a distinction between artist and rapper when it comes to hip hop.
Yes.
So top 5 artists would be Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, Kanye, without a doubt. A Tribe Called Quest, because I consider them as a group, just to be an artist. Probably Wu-Tang, just as a collective, because I consider all the solo albums they did in the 90s to just be all Wu-Tang, because it's RZA, RZA's on producing all those albums. So those would be my top 5 artists.
I forgot we saw a Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah, they killed it when they opened for Kanye.
Yeah, that was a sick concert.
They did Anita Applebaum, and they brought out the girl out the cake. I was like, what?
It's tough because like different, like I guess parts of my life. I always had different favorite artists. But yeah, Kanye, I mean, when it's like just pure rapper, it's like Kendrick Lamar is better than a Kanye. But as an overall artist, producer, I think Kanye, I like him more in that instance. But I don't know, like 50 Cent used to be my favorite. And I still think the music he did with The Game, those collaborations were some of the best hip-hop songs of that decade.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that first album, talk about a masterpiece. I mean, playing it with no skips.
Mm-hmm.
And The Massacre was good too. I think with hip-hop, it's becoming, like I mentioned with directors, writers, all directors write their own stuff. With hip-hop, these artists are becoming very singular in their visions. It's not, let's bring in how many producers, let's all pay them individually. It's, let's bring in 2 or 3 producers, and we're all going to kind of collaborate on a single vision.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see guys like J. Cole, who produces all his stuff. Tyler, the Creator, never brings in outside production. So Earl Sweatshirt, same thing. Vince Staples, I think, as well, produces his own shit. So I like that trajectory with hip-hop, because I think with, Illmatic, considered the greatest hip-hop album of all time, it kind of started that trend of 5, 6, 7 producers. And it worked so well because the production was legendary. But then everyone kind of started doing that, and it didn't work as well.
Yeah.
Jay-Z was a master at picking producers, picking beats. Nas wasn't after Illmatic. I mean, Stillmatic is good, and It Was Written was good too, but he's got some flops there. So it's interesting. I like the way that artists are kind of taking control of their music now.
Well, yeah, it's like Eminem is always, his lyrics and flow and stuff like that have always been better than his production.
Yeah, and I think I love Dr. Dre, what he did for his own stuff and the West Coast sound, but my cousin made the point years ago, if Eminem had more of an East Coast sound to him, a bit grittier, kind of like that 90s Wu-Tang, then maybe he would have enjoyed him more. Because like you said, I think the lyrics were always better than the production. But the Marshall Mathers LP is great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, some of his best work is fantastic.
But like every Eminem song to me just sounds like The Way I Am. Like, oh, it's another The Way I Am.
It's not bad.
Beats on loop and he's angry.
And it's not. It's weird because I can recognize like the Nas's, Tupac's, and Biggie's, but I guess just from when I was growing up and listening to music, that I kind of like artists that I don't think are necessarily better. It's just kind of what I like in music.
Well, I mean, with Biggie, the 2 albums, I mean, 2 near masterpieces. I think they're both 10 out of 10s. It's hard though for Biggie because he's kind of in the legend category. It's hard to rank him as an artist because he didn't have the longevity. We don't know what he would have done, but what an incredible start to his career. I mean, I guess you could. I would throw Biggie close to my top 5 too, because that sound is so influential. This question here from Colin Davis at Biggie_Red. Does My Hero Academia make superpowers more interesting than traditional comics? I'll answer this quickly. Yes, because they get really scientific with it. The powers are so ridiculous, but they go to great lengths to explain them with science. And it makes their strengths and weaknesses way more interesting. And the powers, the way that they have to train and develop their powers, it takes years. And they really go into that, and they really hone in on that.
Would you rather that, or some just, they have powers, accept it?
Like in the opening thing, it's like 80% of the world has superpowers. But then you realize the majority of the population has no idea how to use them. Mm-hmm. It's my power, I can float things, but I'm too weak to float a car. I can float things that I'm strong enough to pick up, but in order to really become a superhero, you have to go years and years of training. I love that shit.
Well, sometimes when they try to over-explain it, it becomes a little too much. It's
no,
like,
they never do that with My Hero,
Where it's like the body when the radiation turned to cells and they grew.
Right, like a character Bakugo, he shoots blasts from his hands.
Yeah, that's all I need.
But he sweats a substance that he can turn, that he can combust, and that's where the blasts come from. Very simple.
Okay.
It's a guy has a power where he can cancel out other people's powers, but when he blinks, the power stops. So he has to train on keeping his eyes open. He's always got Visine, he's got red eyes. It's stuff like that. Cool weaknesses and strengths.
What if he's just mad high all the time?
He looks like he's stoned all the time. He looks like Keanu Reeves, this guy.
That's a superpower.
His name is Eraserhead.
Oh. David Lynch. Mark Frost. Frosty the Snowman.
You keep doing that.
It's fun. A little word association.
Word association is not fun.
You ever play the game 5 Degrees of Kevin Bacon or something like that?
No.
It's fun. It's you pick two actors, and so if I say Amy Adams and Denzel Washington, you got to try to connect them in movies. So like Amy Adams was in Arrival or Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner was in Infinity War. He was in Infinity War. Endgame of Robert Downey Jr.
You lost. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to the Nerd Soup
I fixed
podcast
my mistake
here.
before. I didn't take my hand off
You
the piece.
lost.
I did not take my hand off
You
the
were
piece.
literally
You saw my hand was still on the piece. I didn't take it off.
Like and subscribe to this channel. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. And, you know.
I could have gotten it too.
I love how I didn't take my hand off the piece. You're literally waving your hand in the air like you're conducting a fucking choir.
Yeah. All right, end it now, but do end the podcast with the knowledge that I would have connected Endgame to Denzel Washington with my last 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Speaking of bacon, my stomach is growling. Can we end this? I need to eat.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and of course we would like to thank our Patreon supporters. Without you guys, Nerd Soup wouldn't be Nerd Soup. Seriously, your support is what keeps the fridge full, so thank you once again for your support. If you are interested in supporting Nerd Soup through Patreon, visit our page and check out the different rewards we offer to our fans. If not, then no problem. We appreciate anyone who takes time from their day to watch our videos. So thank you to each and every one of you out there watching, and remember to like and share this video. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like it. Or don't.